Imagine working for the same organization for more than 4 decades, 42 years to be exact. That is the dedicated commitment to municipal fire service accomplished by today's guest. Joining me now to tell us about the legacy he leaves his fellow firefighters is Bobby Nugent. He is the chief of the Greensboro Fire Department. Hello, Chief Nugent. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
You are literally counting it down to retirement. So this is kind of bittersweet because this will be your last episode of FYI Weekly. So we thank you for joining us.
You're quite welcome.
Tell me, what prompted you to join the fire service 42 years ago?
Well, obviously, I was a much younger man back then, so I had been recently married, and I was really searching for something in my life for a career. I'd had different jobs at that young age, and so I was looking for something that was exciting, something I was really could get interested in. And my father happened to mention to me one day, why don't you think about the fire department? He had no experience in the fire service, but he just had been talking to some friends, and so he thought, well, I'll just offer that up to my son and see what he thinks. So I decided that might be an interesting career. I did a little research and saw how it might be interesting and exciting, and went ahead and put an application in. I did not get accepted the first time I applied, which is generally the case through the fire department because it's a very popular position to have. And it was actually the first year that I applied was the first year that the city of Greensboro and the fire department actually hired their first female firefighters.
Oh, wow.
So I was turned down the first time, but I wasn't discouraged. I tried again the next year, and I was fortunate enough to be in that class. And so I came through with the second group of female firefighters in the fire department. So, and then the rest is history.
History, as they say. And you obviously have stayed with the Greensboro Fire Department for the duration of your career. How long were you with the fire department before you became chief? Did you have different ranks that you achieved?
I did. Actually, the fire department itself is pretty much a paramilitary type organization, so you go through the process into the ranks in steps. We obviously have a firefighter, we have captains, battalion chiefs, assistant chiefs, deputy chiefs, and then the fire chief. I have been fortunate to be able to serve in every one of those ranks. I started off obviously as what we call a tailboard firefighter. Then I went from there to become a driver, which we call them engineers today. And then I went to the ranks of captain, spent a couple years as a captain. Then I was fortunate to be promoted to battalion chief, and then went to assistant chief, and then I was promoted to deputy chief. And by the time I was eligible and was appointed fire chief, I had been on the department 37 years. And so I've been fire chief now for 5 years, come February 1st.
Oh, congratulations, and we thank you for your service. Now, obviously, there have been major operational changes throughout the course of your career. Are there any particular ones that you want to highlight that you're proud of?
Yeah, actually there are so many that you could really talk about. The fire service has transformed itself so much over the last 40 plus years that I've been involved in it. And years ago when I first started, you show up at the fire station and that's all you did was to ride fire calls. You didn't ride any medical calls. We had a concept back then where we had a QRV, quick response vehicle, and there were 4 of those in the city, and they would respond to smaller calls that we send full alarms to today, such as car fires, smoke investigations, wrecks that people may have, heart attacks, those type things there. So that QRV concept, as the calls started to increase, was being overrun. They wouldn't be able to handle all the calls. So as time went by, then we started letting the engines, or the fire truck itself, we have an engine and a ladder truck. They started writing medical calls, and then it just became even more so to today that we ride roughly 70% of our calls are medical calls. Wow. So that's kind of a different spin on things years ago. And I remember the first time I wrote a medical call when I was freshly out of recruit school and assigned to a company, Engine 8. We got dispatched to a lady who had fallen and hit her head. We showed up in front of the house, and she come out. She was just extremely upset that she thought she had dialed the wrong number because the fire truck showed up and not an ambulance that showed up. And obviously we explained to her that this is what we do. We respond because we have more fire stations centrally located than they do EMS bases, so we could get there much quicker and offer help sooner. That's one of the things. One of the things I think about today, and a lot of these things are centered around firefighter safety. For example, when I first came on, we had SCBAs, which are self-contained breathing apparatus. We weren't required to wear those back then. It was kind of a voluntary thing. They encouraged us to wear them, but it wasn't anything that you had to. And many times when you would go on a fire, the old firefighter were like, boy, you don't have time to put that on, let's go and get inside. But as time came by and we understood more and more about the effects of firefighting, SCBAs became mandatory. And now, you can suffer corrective action if you don't wear your SCBAs. Yeah. So that was a huge shift there to be able to go from not requiring it to making sure that you require it. The apparatus itself has just been phenomenal the way it's changed. The old fire trucks we had open cab trucks where they were straight drives. They were old mechanical brake type trucks, and they were just, they were the true fire trucks back then. But they have grown and changed so much today. We don't like to call it air conditioning. We call it conditioned air in the truck itself, so that we don't put on the specs that we're putting air conditioning on a fire truck. But it's there because we have automatic transmissions, we have pumps that are automatic. It's a whole lot different type apparatus, much larger pieces of apparatus, and obviously better maintenance, better quality of the trucks. They last. We try to get at least 15 years out of our trucks. So that has changed tremendously in size and scope and the availability of what those trucks can do. And then one of the things that we used to have were just truck companies. And they were just basically trucks that carried large ladders. Now, our truck companies today, they carry water pumps, they carry hose, they carry ladders, so they carry the whole ensemble of what we would need on a fire truck so that they can respond to just anything. Years ago, a ladder truck wouldn't respond to a house fire by itself or to a car fire because it wouldn't have any water. Today, it's different. We can send them by themselves to do it because of the other equipment they have on the truck. So those are some of the things that are kind of like stick out in my mind that are different. Years ago, we did, when we would ventilate a building or a home, we would have smoke ejectors, and it was called a negative pressure ventilation system. Today, we use new technology, which is positive pressure ventilation. We actually blow air into the structure instead of sucking it out. So it's almost a complete opposite of what you would think that we used to do years ago. So those are just a few of the things that I think about that's made major changes in the fire service.
Now, of course, you leave a wonderful legacy, having been with the department for 42 years and being chief for the last 5. What are some of the accomplishments or changes that you're proud of in terms of the number of stations maybe that you've opened, or historic promotions?
Right. Well, I'm very proud of the fact that, first off, that we've got such great support from our manager's office and our city council. They have given us the things that we need to be successful in the fire service. And I feel that we give a good return for their investments. Our people are so dedicated, they work hard, they're very conscious in how they train, how they want to provide the service to the residents of Greensboro. And so we're one of the things that we have always worked hard at is maintaining our Class 1 accreditation. We talk a lot about that, but it means so much to each one of us because it's difficult to receive, and it's just as difficult to maintain it because of the things you have to do. And then our accreditation that we are proud of that came after our Class 1. So we were the first department in the country to be a Class 1 accredited fire department. So we're very proud of that we were able to accomplish that. But within my 5 years, because we have to recertify every so often, I've been able to, with the help of our support from the manager and the council and our firefighters, to maintain those certifications and those accreditations. Those credentials are so important to us because it shows how hard and what quality that we do provide the services to the citizens. So I'm very extremely proud of that. That's a great accomplishment for our department. And some of the things I think about, just in the last 5 years, we were able to institute a drone program that had become very popular within the fire service of using drones for reconnaissance, for land search, for those type things there. I was able to purchase a new, it's actually new to us, but it was a mobile command post that we got in, refurbished it, and put a new command post in play. We have gone to AVL dispatching. Instead of having just a district that a truck would respond in, we respond with the most or the closest unit that's available through the AVL dispatching, as well as fire station alerting. That's been a very popular tool that we've been working for quite some time that will help us to shave just seconds off of our response time because every second counts for us. To us, 15 seconds is a long time. And so to the average person, you don't think about it, but if you're sitting in a home or you're sitting there and something's burning and you're waiting on the fire truck to show up, 15 seconds can mean a long time. It can make a difference in the outcome of the call itself. The new stations that we've been able to replace, Station 7, Station 56, extremely proud of those. The Station 7 off of Gatewood Avenue is going to be just a beautiful station. It's going to house an EMS component. It's going to have a battalion chief. It's going to be a 5-bay fire station, 2-story fire station. Extremely proud of the fact that we're able to go ahead and rebuild that station, and as well as Station 56, which is out off of Franklin Boulevard. Those two stations are kind of like one of my last hurrahs, I guess, I'll be able to accomplish that. And then we just recently built Station 63. We have been able to acquire several pieces of apparatus, engine companies, a new ladder truck, a brand new rescue that we're getting ready to take, a hazmat unit that we're getting ready to take delivery of next week, a new state-of-the-art mobile air unit that we're going to have to respond to fires, to help with the SCBAs. So there's those things there I'm extremely proud of, extremely happy to be able to just be a part of it. And if it wasn't for the great support that we have, and if it wasn't for the firefighters that we have, none of that would be possible, because they show that they're very dedicated in what they do, and these things help them do their job and do it well.
That's a lot of progress and advancement. Very impressive to have that long list of new things that you've added to our operations. Now, firefighting and emergency medical response is so personal. How did you switch gears to still provide service during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, obviously that was a challenge, but one of the things that we relied on, and I met with the staff about early on, is we have a very aggressive infectious control policy. That had been put in place for quite some time. We dealt with the bird flu, that pandemic that came through. Everybody thought that was going to be the end of the world.
Yes.
We put together a pandemic plan at that point. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that team that planned for that event. Thank goodness it wasn't near as bad as they had thought it was going to be. So we had a lot of background and a lot of knowledge on infectious diseases and stuff that we had dealt with before. So our policy is designed to keep our firefighters safe. So we just kept re-emphasizing and reinforcing the policy. Make sure that you follow the policy and things will be fine. And we're very fortunate that we obviously have experienced some positives just like anybody else in the country, but not near the level. If you could imagine 585 people, and you only have just a very few positives with the number of calls, because we were writing close to 41,000 calls a year. But what we did was we were collaborating with the Gifford County Emergency Services. We reduced some of the medical calls that we were responding to that we didn't necessarily think that we were making a difference when we got there. If we can't get there and make a difference, there's really no reason for the fire department to show up. It just creates more people on the road, more hazards, more liability that could be out there. So we sat down with Gifford County Emergency Services. We went through our call types and looked at what calls are we making a difference in, what calls are we not making a difference in, and then we cut those back. And early on, that reduced our call load significantly, so we were not writing those type calls anymore. So that was different for the firefighter in the station to going from 150 to 180 calls a day to running 70 calls a day. And it was like, oh, what is going on? Unfortunately, it has started to pick back up again, but that was one way that we dealt with the COVID issue that we have. We've been very fortunate in the fact that since this all started and we tracked our calls very closely, we can only really say that we've actually responded to about 128 calls that were truly a COVID call within the department. That's pretty significant there out of all the calls that we ride. So obviously the pandemic has impacted the departments across the nation. We look at staffing our vehicles, staffing the apparatus. We're fortunate to be able to have funding to hire people back when we have people calling sick. We do deal with the people who have been exposed, so we have to send them home. They have to self-monitor. We have them tested. But we're able to maintain our staffing levels doing it that way. We early on had to model a 25 to 50% reduction in staffing so that we could be ready in case we had a huge sick out. We've done that. We have not had to pull the trigger on that modeling just yet, thank goodness. It would allow us to continue to offer the services as we do today. It would be an ugly sight because you lose half your staff would be tough, but we could do it, and we're confident in what we've done to be able to do that. So it has changed the way we look at things. It has changed the way we approach our calls and the things that we do. but we're managing through it very well, I believe. Very proud of the department.
Well, we are so glad to have your folks out there and ready to serve. As we wrap this up, what will you miss the most, and what are your post-retirement plans?
Well, I think one of the most things that I would probably miss would be the camaraderie that you have with the people that you work with, the relationships that you build, the people. You know, it really truly is like a family.
Yeah.
You know, 2/3 of my life has been spent there. You know, you stay in the same station with them, you ride the calls with them, your families have birthdays together, they celebrate holidays together, you see each other have families grow, you go to different birthday parties. So that camaraderie part of it will be truly missed. I have made some fantastic relationships and friends that will last forever. So I'll miss that, and I'll miss just the excitement of coming in and every day's different. You know, it's so exciting you hate to hear the sirens going off because people are having a problem,
Yeah.
but you're so proud to be able to be there and be able to provide that service that will hope to improve the people that you see. This is probably some of the worst times of their life, that you can go there and help them and be a part of their healing and get them where they need to be. After I retire, obviously, I have grandkids.
Yeah.
I look forward to spending more time with them. Right now, we're in the process of, obviously, with the schools being remote. My wife spends a lot of time helping with remote learning. I'm sure I'll become a teacher for a little while, which is great.
Yes.
And we plan on building a coastal home and spending some time at the coast, and hopefully it'll bring my family closer to us because they'll want to go to the beach.
Yes.
And we'll be able to spend more time together. So I look forward to that, and just a little more of a relaxation and having family time.
Well, much deserved, and we are going to certainly miss you.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you
that.
again for making FYI Weekly one of your final stops. It truly has been a pleasure to get to know you over the years that I've been here and to work with you and your team. So once again, thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Congratulations, and enjoy your retirement.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.